Worse, man. You could be good. Free Pooh Shiesty. Damn. You already know.
I feel like he ratting on the record.
Gucci Mane was the original grave digger. You know what I'm saying? Go Berry, pick up your dead mans. You know what I'm saying?
On Pookie Loc and all that.
We just watched that. We just watched that at the Verses, and now you hear the song, you know, talking about allegedly what Pooh Shiesty did to him.
It's over for the trap. They all raps. Whole city telling. Shout out Pee Wee long way. Real solid one. R.I.P. Street. Gucci Mane, goddamn, you made history. Snitched on a song, he the first. Are you kidding me? Put Pooh Shiesty in the trap. I mean literally. If that's how you do a friend, God bless your enemies. I wouldn't wanna be an enemy. Real trap nigga went out like a joke. Where's that energy that you have for Pookie Loc? YN's got him scared, he don't want smoke. Made you sign papers with a pistol to your throat. Go get that link up, bring Gucci back, Gucci dead. Put him in a Gucci body bag. Told cops, damn Gucci went out bad. Called him Mr. Softy, he the ice cream man. Gucci Mane, goddamn, you made history. Snitched on the song, he the first. Are you kidding me?
It would have been worse, man. You got dudes out here looking solid in public. Then the paperwork start popping up, and suddenly the whole image fall apart. Folks saying Pooh Shiesty telling in records now. And then when you hear certain lyrics being thrown around, yeah, people started looking at the situation completely different. The street's been watching all this in real time. And the internet instantly turned it into chaos. People started saying Gucci Mane was out here exposing his own artist through music, talking crazy online, posting lyrics, throwing little shots that fans immediately connected back to Pooh Shiesty. And once social media got involved, everybody started dissecting every bar, every caption, every interview clip, trying to figure out what was real and what was trolling. Some fans started saying the trap scene don't even feel the same anymore. Every week it's new paperwork rumors, new accusations, new internet detectives, new people screaming rat online. Folks were even joking that the streets officially turned into a reality show at this point. And honestly, that's exactly why this conversation exploded the way it did. Then people started bringing up how different artists handled loyalty publicly. Some rappers kept quiet. Others started throwing names around openly. And once those diss-style records started circulating online, fans immediately began debating whether certain lines cross a line that should have never been crossed publicly. Meanwhile, clips of Gucci Mane talking reckless started spreading all over social media. Fans replayed every lyric, every subliminal, every moment looking for hidden meaning. Some people thought it was strategic promotion. Others genuinely believed relationships behind the scenes had completely fallen apart. And then things got even crazier once people started dragging old beefs and old street politics back into conversation too. Suddenly everybody online became an investigator. Fans started connecting names, past situations, old interviews, old rumors, and old tensions that most people forgot about years ago. At one point, somebody even straight up admitted, "I ain't never liked dude anyway." And the way it was said, it didn't sound like regular rap beef talk. It sounded personal, like there was history underneath everything people watching online didn't fully understand yet. But while all that chaos was happening, there was one name people kept circling back to over and over again, 50 Cent. Because let's be honest, there's probably nobody in hip-hop better at reading dangerous energy than 50. This is a man who survived things most people couldn't even imagine. There's one guy in entertainment who built an entire empire off understanding people before they expose themselves publicly. Somebody who got shot 9 times and still came back stronger. Somebody who spent decades studying street energy, industry politics, betrayal, and survival. That's why whenever 50 speaks seriously about somebody, people immediately stop laughing and start paying attention. And what makes it even crazier is the fact that 50 has been calling out situations long before the rest of the industry catches up, especially when it came to certain celebrity behavior and hidden industry politics. Dude built a reputation for saying things everybody else was too scared to say publicly. But here's the thing about 50 Cent. He doesn't post randomly. He doesn't troll randomly. Every caption, every meme, every interview answer, every emoji, every deleted post, all of it usually means something. And history keeps showing people the same pattern over and over again. Whenever 50 starts talking seriously, eventually the truth usually starts surfacing somewhere behind it. And now, 50 was speaking on Pooh Shiesty, not joking, not clowning, not just posting memes for laughs. He was speaking in interviews, podcasts, and allegedly even private conversations that later started circulating online. And the way he described Shiesty had the entire rap world looking uncomfortable. Because 50 wasn't calling him reckless. He wasn't calling him dumb. Nah, he used a word that hit way deeper than that. He called him dangerous. And not in a surface-level rap way either. He was talking about a deeper, kind of dangerous. The type that doesn't disappear once fame, money, or success enters the picture. And when somebody who survived 9 bullets looks at another man and says, yeah, that one dangerous, people don't just brush it off. You pay attention, especially coming from somebody with 50's background and experience. According to 50, there's a difference between people who become dangerous because of their environment and people who are simply built that way naturally. Most people react to the environment around them, but then there are certain individuals who actually shape the environment themselves. And that's exactly the category he implied Pooh Shiesty falls into. And apparently this whole conversation really started during what looked like a completely normal interview on The Breakfast Club. Nothing unusual at first. Just regular promo, regular jokes, regular industry conversation. Charlemagne the God, DJ Envy, just hilarious, the usual setup. 50 was chilling too, laughing, joking, talking business, talking television, talking music. Everything felt normal until Charlemagne casually brought up the whole Pooh Shiesty situation, the escape rumors, the footage, all the online chaos attached to his name. And that's when the energy shifted instantly. Not dramatically either. If you really know 50's body language, you would have caught it immediately. The smile disappeared. His face went cold. He leaned back slightly and paused for a few seconds before answering. And anybody familiar with 50 knows those pauses mean everything, because that's usually when he starts carefully choosing exactly how much truth he wants to reveal publicly. And when he finally answered, the room reportedly got uncomfortable fast. He basically explained that people think they understand Pooh Shiesty because of the image, the tattoos, the music, the age, the street image. But according to 50, people still don't fully understand what they're really looking at. He even hinted that the industry itself might not be prepared for someone wired like that long term. And when Charlemagne asked him to explain further, 50 took things even deeper. He straight up admitted, I grew up around dangerous people. I am a dangerous person myself. But then he drew a line between regular street energy and something much heavier. He explained that some people are shaped by the environment, while others naturally shape the environment around them. And according to him, Pooh Shiesty falls into that second category, the type of presence that changes the energy in every room without even trying. The room reportedly went quiet after that. And the craziest part? 50 moved on casually afterward like he didn't just drop one of the coldest observations anybody had publicly made about Pooh Shiesty up to that point. To really understand why this matters, though, you gotta understand the relationship between 50 Cent and Gucci Mane too. They may not be best friends, but there's always been a certain level of mutual respect between them. Two guys from rough environments who survived chaos and built major empires afterward. 50 has praised Gucci's business mind multiple times over the years. He respected how Gucci survived prison, rebuilt himself, and turned 1017 into a serious movement afterward. And because of that respect, 50 allegedly kept a close eye on Gucci's artists too, especially Pooh Shiesty. But according to 50, it wasn't even the music that first caught his attention. It was something deeper, something in the eyes, something in the energy. He described it almost like a constant awareness, like somebody always calculating, always alert, always ready. And 50 admitted he recognized that energy immediately because he grew up around people exactly like that back in Southside Jamaica, Queens. The ones who survived and the ones who didn't. According to him, it's not about anger or loud aggression. It's about capacity, the ability to truly take things further than most people mentally can have pushed. And according to 50, once he recognized that in Pooh Shiesty, he already knew the story probably wouldn't end smoothly. Not because he believed Shiesty was evil necessarily, but because people carrying that kind of energy combined with fame, pressure, and street environments rarely end up with peaceful outcomes. Then things allegedly got even deeper during another podcast conversation that flew under the radar. The host tried comparing Pooh Shiesty to other street rappers, asking where he ranked in terms of authenticity. But 50 immediately shut that comparison down. He reportedly said the biggest mistake people make is assuming Pooh Shiesty is simply performing like other rappers. According to 50, the music might be entertainment, but the energy outside the booth, that part was very real. And when the host asked what exactly he meant by that, 50 broke it down in a way that reportedly made the entire room uncomfortable. He explained that most people, even dangerous street dudes, still usually have some type of line they won't cross. Everybody has a breaking point somewhere. But according to him, he's only met a few people in his life who genuinely didn't have those internal breaks at all. No hesitation, no switch, no stop button once things escalated. Then he allegedly added something even heavier, saying 2 of those people were already gone and another one was locked up. When the host hinted at whether Pooh Shiesty was one of those people, 50 reportedly smiled coldly and said, "I said what I said. You do the math." And honestly, after that clip surfaced online, the entire internet started looking at the situation differently. Because this wasn't random internet gossip anymore. This was 50 Cent. Somebody who's seen real violence, real killers, real betrayal, and real survival. Publicly speaking in a way that suggested even he looked at Pooh Shiesty differently than most people in the industry did. According to people close to the situation, those interviews everybody watched publicly, yeah, that was only the surface-level version of conversations 50 Cent had allegedly already been having behind closed doors for weeks. By the time those clips hit the internet, 50 supposedly already had his mind made up about the entire situation. And honestly, to understand why 50 thinks the way he does, you gotta understand where he came from and how he even entered the music business in the first place. One story he told years ago explains everything about his mentality. One night, according to 50, he pulled up to Bentley's, one of those upscale Manhattan hip-hop spots, in his Benz. At the time, not many people even had that type of car in New York, so it stood out immediately. Then out of nowhere, somebody allegedly ran up and slapped the hood of the car. Naturally, 50 looked irritated until he realized who it was. It turned out to be Jam Master Jay from Run DMC, one of the biggest legends in hip-hop history. According to 50, Jay apologized immediately because he thought the car belonged to NBA player Kenny Anderson, who apparently had a similar whip at the time.
50 said the second he realized who he was talking to, he pulled over, jumped out, and started chopping it up with Jay instantly. He explained he was from South Jamaica, Queens, and had been following his career for years. And according to 50, that random interaction completely changed the direction of his life afterward. When Jay mentioned he was about to head inside Bentley's, 50 allegedly took a shot and said, "We coming with you." And just like that, Jam Master Jay walked him straight past the bouncers and directly into the industry environment he'd been trying to reach. According to 50, that night eventually led to a real friendship forming between them and later turned into him signing with Jam Master Jay Records. That's why 50 always speaks carefully about mentorship, structure, and learning the business. Because unlike a lot of artists, he actually experienced somebody genuinely trying to teach him the craft early on. Even people around that era confirmed Jay helped 50 understand song structure, hooks, recording, and how to properly build records. And according to stories from back then, Jay allegedly respected 50 partly because he already carried himself like somebody successful before rap even took off for him. They said 50 already had cars, chains, money, confidence, the whole image. He wasn't walking around begging for opportunities. And there's an old mentality in the streets that says people are more willing to help you once they see you don't desperately need the help. That confidence attracted attention. But the reason all this matters now is because 50 allegedly sees parallels between his own past and what's happening with Pooh Shiesty and Gucci Mane today. Especially once business, loyalty, and street emotions start colliding publicly. And according to people connected to both sides, one of the biggest alleged conversations happened after footage started airing all over CNN. The airport clips, the SUV audio, the legal movement. Once those stories started getting bigger publicly, that's reportedly when 50 reached out directly, no middlemen, no management layers, nothing. Because according to him, the situation had already evolved way beyond normal rap drama at that point. We're talking federal situations, international movement rumors, security conversations, legal pressure, shell company speculation. Suddenly this wasn't just another label dispute anymore. The original argument over royalties almost stopped mattering completely. What allegedly mattered more was the psychological side of everything. According to reports, 50 supposedly warned Gucci that this wasn't about money anymore. He allegedly said something along the lines of, "You think he coming back for money? Nah, he coming back to make you feel what he felt." And, honestly, that perspective completely changed how people started viewing the situation online. Because money issues can usually be solved. Contracts can get renegotiated. Checks can get cut. But when somebody feels emotionally betrayed or psychologically disrespected, that becomes way harder to control. And according to 50, once a situation reaches that level emotionally, it stops being regular business. Now you're dealing with pride, ego, pain, humiliation, and revenge energy, all mixed together. That's the kind of tension he's allegedly been warning people about from the very beginning. And if you really pay attention, a lot of what 50 says about this situation clearly connects back to his own history too. Before the movies, before power, before the business empire, before get rich or die tryin', 50 went through ugly business and street situations himself. Back in the day, after signing through Jam Master Jay and eventually getting tied into bigger label situations, things reportedly started getting messy behind the scenes too. Money conversations, business disputes, street politics, and eventually the tensions spilled out of offices and into real-life danger. That period became one of the most violent and chaotic chapters in New York rap history. And even though 50 doesn't speak about it constantly, you can still hear the experience in his tone whenever he talks about artists mixing unresolved emotions with business pressure. That's why, according to him, when he looks at the Pooh Shiesty situation, he doesn't just see internet gossip. He sees patterns he already recognizes from real life. Patterns that, from his perspective, usually only end a few ways: prison, complete destruction, or one side fully crushing the other. In one interview that barely got mainstream attention, 50 allegedly admitted something heavy too. He reportedly said he sees parts of his younger self in Pooh Shiesty: the hunger, the anger, the mindset where you're willing to burn everything down if you feel disrespected. But then he contrasted that by saying he also sees his current self in Gucci Mane, the businessman version. The guy with too much money, too much success, and too much responsibility to lose everything over emotions anymore. And according to 50, the difference is that he eventually evolved out of that first mindset. But he admitted he wasn't fully sure whether Pooh Shiesty could make that same transition. And coming from 50, that statement hit people differently online. Because he wasn't insulting Shiesty's intelligence. He was talking about wiring, instinct, energy, the same thing he'd already hinted at during previous interviews. Basically implying that certain personalities are so deeply built a certain way that fame and money alone don't necessarily change them. Then came the social media moment that absolutely exploded online. Because with 50 Cent, everything eventually circles back to Instagram. A few days after one of those interviews, 50 posted a split image that instantly had the whole internet talking.
On one side was an old photo of young 50. Early career, cold stare, emotionless expression, that same intense energy people always associate with him. But on the other side, a real wolf. Not cartoon style either. A real predator mid-stalk, low to the ground, focused, locked in. The image looked tense, like the wolf had already made its decision before moving, every muscle tight, eyes focused straight ahead. And then the caption underneath reportedly said just 2 words. Same energy. That's it. And the craziest part? The post allegedly stayed up for only about 19 minutes before disappearing. But of course, by then social media already screenshot everything. Classic 50 move. Post something explosive just long enough for the internet to grab it, then delete it and let everybody argue afterward. But according to fans, the deeper message wasn't an insult at all. People believe 50 was comparing Pooh Shiesty to a wolf because wolves move off instinct, not emotion. You can cage them, feed them, change the environment around them, but their nature stays the same. And that's what people think 50 was really trying to say underneath everything. That this wasn't simply a rapper making mistakes. This was somebody operating exactly how they were naturally wired to operate under pressure. Now, whether people agree with that comparison or not, that's a whole separate debate. But when somebody with 50's background says it, the words carry way more weight than random bloggers or internet commentators throwing opinions around online. And according to 50, the bigger issue goes way beyond just Pooh Shiesty anyway. He allegedly sees this entire situation as a warning about the music industry itself. Because his argument is basically this: the industry signs young men from rough environments, markets their trauma, profits off their pain, builds brands around danger and authenticity, then suddenly acts shocked once that same energy starts spilling into real life. He reportedly broke it down during another podcast by saying you can't build somebody's entire image around being dangerous, promote them because they're dangerous, and then panic once that energy becomes impossible to control publicly. And honestly, that point hit hard online because it forced people to really think about how rap culture operates. From the blogs to the labels to the streaming platforms, everybody profits off realness until that realness suddenly stops feeling entertaining and starts feeling unpredictable. That's exactly why the energy around Pooh Shiesty shifted so quickly. At first, people celebrated the authenticity, the image, the street aura, the intensity. But once situations allegedly escalated into something heavier, suddenly that same authenticity started making people uncomfortable. 50 Cent sees the hypocrisy in the music industry clear as day, and honestly, he's not letting anybody slide past it anymore. According to 50, the industry doesn't actually want real street energy. Nah, they want the illusion of it. They want somebody looking dangerous in videos, sounding dangerous on records, talking reckless in interviews. But the second real consequences show up in real life, suddenly everybody gets nervous. He basically said labels love the image of danger right up until that same danger becomes impossible to control publicly. They want artists looking like villains on camera, but calm, polished, and corporate once the meetings start happening behind closed doors. And according to 50, the second things stop feeling entertaining and start feeling real. Now everybody wants protection. Now the same system people rap against suddenly becomes a system they run to for safety. That's the contradiction he keeps calling out over and over again.